You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello, yes, I am the doctor, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and you are watching USA Global TV, and this is the Business Talk Show. With me, as always, is Mr. Cini. Welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, Dr. Jacalyn. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm digging the new look. I'm really liking this.
It's a little bit. I'm going a little rustic. I guess it's summer. I don't know. We'll see how long this lasts. But thank you for the compliment. You look lovely as always.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a wonderful day of broadcasting, and we've got another great guest with us today. Before we bring him out, I'd love to hear about what you're doing. Got a lot of exciting things happening at BCAT.
We do. We're starting a number of brand and culture alignment projects for clients. And the goal of a brand and culture alignment toolkit project is to align the people in an organization with their purpose. So the work is very rewarding. It proceeds very quickly. Surprisingly, everybody's involved. We meet with everybody in the organization. Every voice is equally valuable. Every voice is equally valid. And we get some great results that people really tend to rally around.
Fantastic. And I'm so happy for you that all these great things are happening. I know your heart and soul, your passions is like your baby.
This is the rock I'm pushing up the hill. So thank you. It's finally, I think gravity's starting to take over. I'm looking forward to that.
I am so happy to hear that. And, this is the business show, and we've got a special guest who's going to join us and help us understand the business of the music industry, which is something we haven't talked about yet.
They say there's no business like show business. Let's bring Tony out to find out if that's true.
Yes, singer, songwriter, actor, producer. Here he is, Tony Moore, joining us from the Bedford. Good to see you.
Hi, Dr. Jacalyn. Hi there, Al. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm at the Bedford, which is a music venue right here in the heart of London, in the United Kingdom.
Great. And it looks lovely back there. I guess, what time does your show start?
It starts in about an hour's time. So we've just finished the sound checks. The last artist is just tuning her guitar, and then in a few minutes the doors will open and you'll see behind me kind of people wandering in, getting their seats, getting ready for the show tonight. And we have 3 amazing acts. I've been doing this 18 years here at the Bedford now.
That's really exciting.
Yes, congratulations. And for people who haven't been to the Bedford, where is it?
So we're in a part of London called Balham, which is in the southwest of London, and it's about half an hour from the very centre of London on the underground here or by train, and it's a beautiful venue. In fact, I'll give you a quick tour around behind me. You can see there's a little bit more of the stage. You can see some of the instruments in place and ready to go, and going round, the tables have got beautiful candles on, and it's in the round. It was built to kind of emulate the Globe Theatre by Shakespeare a little bit, and we've played home to many great artists. Many unsigned artists began their careers here. Obviously, most of the world have heard of Ed Sheeran, who did a very important show here and recorded it, and it was pretty much his first proper album. It's called Ed Sheeran Live at the Bedfords, and you can still find it. But we've also had some very big names come in unexpectedly, or rather, not unexpectedly, but we didn't announce them a lot in advance. Pete Townsend from The Who came and did a very special show for us here. We've had all kinds of people over the years, thousands and thousands of people.
And not the least of which is Tony Moore. So we know you're going to have to jump off early, relatively, because I know you've got a show to get ready for. But I have a question. With COVID ending or morphing, how is live performance? Is it coming back to life? Are things getting better?
Well, every country is taking a very different approach, apparently. The UK has taken the decision to release pretty much all major restrictions for the moment. So we don't have to do any social distancing. We don't have to wear masks. People don't have to book in advance to come. And this is the first week of that. So I've been doing shows here for 3 months, but they've been much smaller audiences, and you had to wear a mask to come to the building and all that kind of stuff. So there is a great sense of freedom. And we did the first show last night, and it was a little bit like old times. People just turning up and standing at the bar and just enjoying music and having a great. I'm being allowed to sing. No one was allowed to sing before.
That was an issue here.
That makes it difficult. Tony, we do have a comment from Vicky Garvey. She says, "Hi, Tony." So I guess that's a friend
Vicky.
of yours. Hi.
Yeah. Hey, Vicky. Lovely to see you. Vicky was I did an online show through the lockdown called Right Here with Tony Moore, which was 2 hours of music from my own little studio, plus little interviews and chats. And Vicky was part of that. It's good to see you, Vicky.
Nice to have you here, Vicky. Tony, what I would love to start off with is I want to talk a little bit about your career, and then I want to talk about the music industry. We also have someone else saying hi. Let's say hi to Diane. Kitsy.
Hi, Diane. Diane's a good friend.
Thank you for watching, Diane. So you've been in the music industry for a long time. You have a lot of success, award-winning. When did you first realize that you had these talents?
Well, I'm not sure that I realized I had talents, but I realized that I had a dream and an ambition. So when I was quite young, my parents were very theatrical. My dad was a classical pianist and tenor, and my mum was a ballet dancer. So I grew up in a very musical family. My dad was playing all the time, and they sent me to piano lessons, but I was very bad at reading music. I couldn't understand the dots and the lines, and I tried. I just couldn't make sense of it. So what I used to do is I used to write my own little pieces of music, because I figured no one can say it's wrong if I wrote it. And I kind of took a whole different route into music from an early age of composing and writing music and songs with very naive lyrics, obviously, when you're 12 and 13. But I remember I did a gig with some friends from school at a little youth hostel, and there was a couple of hundred people there. And I remember that feeling of being on stage and people applauding and the PA system sounding really loud. And I thought, oh, this is what I want to do forever. I love this. So that's kind of where it started. And it's been a long, hard journey. I've nearly got where I want to go.
That's pretty funny. We have more comments. Sorry, Ann Johnson.
Hi, Ann. And Rania. Hi, Rania. Yes, she's in Canada.
Great.
And he says, it's a pleasure, Tony. Thank you.
That's terrific. You got quite a fan base. That's pretty impressive, Tony.
Well, we built a little community of people, there's Willie, a community of people all around the world over the last year. The one great thing, as you probably discovered, is that the one thing that we could do was reach out via the technology that we have to people in places that we would never have found before, because we weren't forced to have to find different ways to connect and communicate. And I think that's been one of the positives that has come from a lot of the darkness that we've had to endure.
And I'm just thinking about the fact that people want to get back together. They want to come to Bedford. Performers, creatives want to get back on stage. How do you see technology such as Clubhouse, for example, what we're doing here today? How do you see these types of platforms being affected, if at all, by the fact that people are going to get together and go to live performances?
Oh, I think the truth is that we are just expanding the market of communication. I don't think things will stop online just because we're able to go out. There might be less. I mean, I was doing every single night, 2 hours a night from 8 till 10, from March till July, 110 shows without a break. And it was pretty intense. I couldn't keep that momentum going forever. It was a short period of time, but I'm still doing shows at least once a week, maybe 2 times a week online. And it's another part of my creative world that I wouldn't have done had I not been forced into it. So I think we will still go to gigs, we'll go to restaurants, we'll go to clubs, but we will also use Clubhouse, and we will also come and listen to Dr. Jacalyn and you, Al, and, you know, connect in ways, because it's all about the communication, right? And this is just another layer of communication that was being underutilized before and was impossible 20 years ago.
That's great, Tony. You know, you just brought up an area that I think there are an awful lot of people out there, generally young people, I think, who are thinking a career in music could be a wonderful thing. And you know, where this is a business show, so for their benefit, how important is discipline and structure in the music? I know it's fun, but how important is it to find a slot where you're disciplined and you're structured and you're organized?
I guess there are artists that kind of stumble into success, but truthfully speaking, the artists that do the 10,000 hours, as the cliche has, are the ones that are the best prepared for this. So you look at Ed Sheeran, and if you go through his history, you'll find him at 12 and 13 years old, busking on the streets. When he came to London, he played 1, 2, sometimes 3 times a night, sleeping on people's sofas. In fact, there's a famous quote, was in a newspaper, an artist called James Morrison. I think they said, forgive me if the figures will be wrong, but something like James Morrison played 100 shows last year. And supposedly Ed said to his dad, well, I'll do 150 shows then. You know, because there was not a competitive edge, but just certainly an inspired edge in Ed that meant that he, when he got to the point he was playing at stadiums, he'd already played thousands of shows beforehand. He got to the point where he was able to do that. Well, that comes from a certain kind of discipline. And discipline usually in the creative world is about just delivering your output at the best level possible and understanding that we're on a journey, that we will always grow, that we will always develop, that we will always evolve. And so it's important to embrace that and not think of ourselves as having arrived at any one step on the journey of success, but to realize that's just one step that leads us to the next one.
You know, that's
thank you, Tony.
That really is very helpful advice, I think. And I'll just add one element. I have had a relative in show business, and once I asked him what was the secret to his success, and he said, I keep all my receipts.
Yeah, that's very sensible. Very sensible. You don't want to have a big tax bill and no receipts to go with it.
Al, do you want to share who the relative was?
Well, my father passed several years ago. He was Johnny Fontaine in The Godfather, the singer.
Wow.
Al Martino.
Wow.
And he was pretty well known. He had the first chart topper in the UK.
Absolutely.
That was here in my heart a long time ago. But
1952, I believe.
It was, as a matter of fact. He was the #1 Billboard first chart topper. Yep.
Yeah, and it was the Christmas #1, as I remember rightly.
Yeah, it was. He was, and he spent 6 years living in the UK. He dated Winston Churchill's daughter. I'm not sure.
A fantastic artist, but it's true. He had the first #1 on the very first British chart in 1952. Al Martino.
That was him.
Yeah. Wow.
That's amazing. How about that? We have a comment. Tune into Right Here with Tony Moore on Sunday nights for live music sung by Tony.
That's Rania promoting my Right Here with Tony Moore live shows.
That's great. Thank you, Rania. That's wonderful.
I have a lovely network of beautiful souls around the world that join me on this journey. But it's the business show, right? And the word show business has 2 words in it. It has the word show and has the word business. Yeah. And there comes a point where you absolutely have to take care of your business. So if you're going to sign a contract, you need to really try and understand what you're signing. I know we all sign up to a new phone or a new computer game, and we tick the I agree to the terms of service without ever reading it, because it's too much to read, right? But when it's your career, it's your duty to yourself to understand what you are committing yourself to. And it's not always easy, because when you're starting out in this world, you have no power, you have no influence, right? You have raw talent that somebody else has spotted. And the people with the money and the organization, they're the ones with the power. So the contracts initially will always not be completely in your favor. But if you're sensible, you'll kind of work with a lawyer that can build things into your contracts that as you become more successful, you gain a higher income or more control. For instance, the Beatles, you know, when they first did their record deal, I think they were earning pennies on the dollar each. Right? It was crazy. And obviously when they had a lot of success, they went back and renegotiated.
Well,
thank you for sharing that. You brought up a point that I was actually going to ask about as well. So we see people who have made it, people who are really successful, and without knowing, someone might assume, oh, look how lucky he is, or he knew the right people, or someone was in the audience and discovered him. But there's so much hard work. You just shared about Ed Sheeran. There's so much hard work that goes on regardless of what stage of success you have in this industry, correct?
Absolutely. And the truth is that the hard work should never end. In order to move forward, you need to be constantly be working on what it is that you do. So you don't see dancers, for example, you know, they might spend from the age of 6 to 16, you know, 4 or 5 nights a week, 3 or 4 hours or night or whatever, you know, developing their craft. Once they get to be in a show, they don't stop working out. They don't stop stretching and move, you know. You can't be stagnant in this world. Life is going to change around you, even if you try not to change. So my advice really is that the hard work that you do at the beginning allows you to make what you do afterwards look easier. But it's only looks easier because you've already accomplished the hard stuff behind the scenes when no one's looking. Learning your craft as a writer, learning your craft as a singer, developing your stage presence in little gigs where nobody cares about you, and it's your job to entertain them. That's why you're on the stage. Some artists get it the wrong way round. They think, well, the audience is here to appreciate me. No, you're there to entertain the audience. And if you are not entertaining, they will not be entertained, right? So there's a lot to be learned, and my philosophy is always to be open-minded and say yes. So if people suggest things to me, I generally will say yes and try new things, different things, because the most amazing miracles come from just engaging with positive energy.
Yeah, great. Tell us a little bit, Tony, about your act. You perform your own music you've written?
Yep, absolutely.
But
well,
what else? I mean, do you tell jokes in the middle of the how do you relate to the audience?
I am a humorous non-comedian, you might say. So I don't have a routine of humor, but my nature is to be disarming at times. It can help if I make mistakes, but I have a number of different personas. So, for example, when I was very young, even though I was making music, I was also a very avid young magician and did a lot of magic, and actually earned quite a lot of money as a teenager to buy keyboards and guitars for my music career. That required me to be a different kind of performer from being, you know, starting off in a band like Iron Maiden, who I joined after I left school and who were not famous when I joined them, but they had an amazing sound, and the bass player Steve Harris just had this incredible vision of how the band was going to be successful. And you know, I there's lots of things that I will say to maybe younger artists or people who ask me for my thoughts. One is, if you don't have a big dream of your own, find somebody else who does, because we're not born with a dream, and our dreams come and go as we achieve things or change things or, you know, try things. And we have fallow periods in our life where we're not quite sure what we might do next. That's the kind of time to find somebody who has a very strong vision about what they want to do and go, right, I'm with you, because you're going places, you know what you want to do.
That's a great story there. And, you know, you mentioned you're a magician. When we come to the UK and watch your act, we want to watch you saw Dr. Jacalyn in half.
You're so funny.
You'll have twice as much entertainment after that, won't you?
There you go. It'll be twice a show.
For sure. Tony, I've been able to listen to your radio show, and I just thought it was so interesting. You were spotlighting certain artists, and in between you were giving information. And the one that really stood out in my mind was about football. So many different facts about football that I had no idea about. So where do you get this kind of information? Is it something that the topics are passionate to you?
Well, the truth is, like you and Al will do before you do your show, you do your research, right? So I do my research, and this harks back to what I said before. If you do the hard work in the beginning, then the rest looks seamless and effortless and is enjoyable to people, and actually gives you a sense of confidence because you have a foundation. So before every single radio show, I've already done a minimum of 2 or 3 hours work researching what I'm going to talk about, who the artist that I am going to play, thinking about the kind of interesting facts I might share with people. The football one was because for 2 weeks I had shows during big football matches over here, so that was very much on people's mind. But I'm a fact addict. I just love interesting stuff, right? So I just want to share that enthusiasm with people.
Good.
Well, and it comes through, and you've such a beautiful voice and a beautiful speaking voice as well. I'm seeing it start to fill up there. For people who are not in the UK or at the Bedford, what do you want them to know about this venue?
So the Bedford is, I would like to say, one of the most beautiful venues in the world. Physically, it's beautiful, but we work incredibly hard for it to sound like the best sound you could ever have as an artist. Because most of the acts that play here, you won't know yet. I work with undiscovered, emerging, and new talent most of the time. And I want to give them an incredible experience. I want their time at the Bedford to be something that they take happily in their hearts, and they want to come back and experience again. And that goes for our staff, our sound engineer, who makes them feel wonderful and sound great. And although in principle, all of these little things don't sound that important, the experience that you give somebody by caring and giving them respect and understanding what they need and catering for that without them having to ask for it actually speaks volumes about what you do. So that we have maybe 15 acts a week play here, and out of those acts, there will be another generation of artists that will go on to become very, very successful. So, you can watch the show live, of course, as well. It's there's a Facebook stream, which is the Bedford Pub on Facebook. So the show begins at 8 o'clock every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I also do a show here once a month, which is my brand new album. Doesn't involve Route 66, although sometimes I might do it as an encore. But I have a brand new album. It's called Awake. It's not released yet because it's a concept double album. But the live show we've been putting on here, I think we've done 6 now, and every night's been full, and it's like a one-man stadium rock experience. Imagine a little bit of War of the Worlds meets a bit of Pink Floyd meets some psychedelic Beatles. It's quite a thing. It's an hour and 20-minute show. I only talk 3 times in the whole show. There's so much music and so many visuals and sound effects. So I've been doing that once a month, and that's been fantastic to polish it and get it ready to take to the next level.
That's great.
Thank you so much. We have so many comments coming in. I'm going to show them in a minute. But one thing I wanted to discuss, you and I actually got connected through an artist that you're very familiar with, Ilo. And I'm going to play her clip after your show starts, because I know we don't have you that long, so I don't want to do it right now. But can you share a little bit of information about what is the process when you find a new artist, like you just mentioned? What is the due diligence? What are the steps that they have to take in order for them to be discovered, so to speak?
Well, that is the $1 million question, both literally and emotionally. But I have been in the business, as you know, a very long time. So for the people who haven't seen me before or know nothing about me, that's fine, because I've worked with lots of acts. You might not know my name, but obviously you know Iron Maiden. I left them before they were very successful, but stayed in touch, and I'm very proud of my little time and contribution. I was in a band called Cutting Crew in the 80s. So we were touring America with a song called I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight, which was a big #1 hit around the world. Through the 90s, I've worked with a lot of other artists in Latin America and Russia and Japan. And then I've run the Bedford for 18 years. I've seen over 10,000 performances here. And through all of that, it's fine-tuned my ears and my instinct for when I see and hear an artist that I know has something extra special. Now, with Ilo, it's a long story, but we met completely randomly, and she knew that I was in the music industry, and she said, I'd like to be a singer. So I said, well, I need to hear your voice. I'm shortening the story a little bit. So we went to my studio one day, I played the piano, and she sang Summertime, and I heard that voice that you know so well. And I realized that she has a voice and a talent that is rare and has some magic. So I made a commitment to try and help her the best I could, both as a kind of mentor manager, as a co-writer, as a friend. And we've done hundreds of shows around the world. I play guitar and piano for her when we play live, when it's just the two of us. We've written songs together. I've produced tracks with her. And she's an amazing artist. And when her time arrives, all of the work that we have done will have been the preparation to launch her to another level. Because as you've discovered, when people hear her voice and hear her music, it touches them in a way that's quite special. Now the challenge is, how do you get that to more people? And you know, that's a journey that you can't predict. That sometimes is just about being in the right place at the right time, having the right song in the right moment for those doors to open.
That's great advice, Brian, in there too, Tony. You know, no gig is too small. No opportunity is too tiny.
Yep.
You take every chance you get, and because with every chance you take, you increase the odds of becoming an overnight success someday, which is really hard work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love it. You just said overnight success. There is no such thing as overnight success. It just appears to the outside world that there's an overnight success. You could say that about Formula One racing, right? Or NASCAR racing. You know, a driver gets in a car, does the circuit for 45 minutes and wins the trophy. And you go, wow, that came out of nowhere. No, it didn't. There was years of design in the car, years of starting on go-karts and moving up to bigger cars and learning your craft, years of working with a team that can change the tires so quickly you lose no time. Nothing is overnight, right? But as we said at the beginning, all of that hard work and preparation is what puts you in a position that when the right moment occurs, you are ready for it. Because honestly, opportunity can happen anywhere at any time. Like you said, no room too small. You never know who's going to be in this room tonight who will just walk through the door and see one of the acts and that could easily say, wow, I'm going to sign her. She's amazing. Because we do our job to create a stage for people to be seen. But if you're not ready for it, that door won't open for you. So you've got to do your bit to be ready.
Excellent. And I think also it needs to be said that you have to believe in yourself, because whatever field you're in, there are always going to be people as you start to grow that are going to try to keep you down or say you don't have the talent or nobody's going to discover you or you're not good enough. And you have to just keep going, believe in yourself, and one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Jacalyn. And that's about resistance, right? So if you go into the gym, you will understand about resistance training, right? If you push against like a rubber loop to stretch your arms, you do not create strength without resistance. So the resistance of people not supporting you, not getting you, is the fuel and the fire for many artists to make them stronger, more focused, and more ready to prove that they have something special.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Great.
I'm going to start showing some of these. How much longer do we have you, Tony?
I'm going to show you around the room a little bit.
Okay.
Nice.
You see more people
Very
arriving.
nice. Yes.
I think another 5 minutes, and then I've got to go and do my proper job of greeting everybody and getting everything ready. I'm loving this, mind you. I'm loving this.
I am too. I want to show some of the comments, and then I want to, before we have you leave, is talk about Route 66 and the significance and why you decided to remake this song. So we've got Willie K. What's Tony's opinion on shows like The X Factor and The Voice that attempt to fast track artists into showbiz? Good question.
Yeah, well, they have created another avenue into success that for some artists has been very positive. For other artists has been quite useful. and for many artists maybe has not been as productive as they'd like to have thought, because the truth is they're just TV shows, and they're very clever, very well thought out, very well put together, but ultimately it's a TV show. And so people, generally speaking, buy into the TV show as a concept, but it's not often that you get that kind of loyalty to one artist that happens when an artist has evolved organically over a long time and built an audience of people that love them. You know, I don't dismiss any success, and I don't dismiss any hard work, because even though, you know, it's very easy to say, oh, it's a fast track to success, still everybody behind the scenes has worked very hard to make that work. But I think from an artist's point of view, sometimes if you are just taken from nowhere and placed in front of everybody, and you haven't done the heavy build to create your fan base, for some artists that drops away very quickly after the show finishes. So, you know, there's lots of artists that have even won programs like The Voice around the world, whose careers didn't take off. And, you know, that's difficult for an artist, you know, to have to come to terms with sometimes.
To have that kind of blow in public, right, where everybody now sees that you weren't the one who was selected. But at least you get exposure that you wouldn't have had otherwise. Yeah,
I think it's a dual-edged sword for my taste, right? I think sometimes it's better to arrive kind of quietly and people start talking about you, and suddenly someone on the radio plays it, and then someone else on the radio plays it, and after a while, everybody's talking about you. I think that's usually a better, a more long-lasting start to your journey in the industry. You know, but everyone can make what they want of their success, right? So profile is really important, whatever you're doing. Who was it who said, you know, all publicity is good publicity? There's a certain truth to that. Not always, but certain truth.
Paul Abbey writes, true fab venue, unusual in the round, acoustics ideal and iconic, with many performed there. Tony Defo looks after all and is well loved.
Thank you, Paul. Paul is a wonderful magician. And good friend, and has been to the Bedford a lot. And you know, the one thing that's really important to me, and has become so much so in the latter part of my career, is community. Community is everything, because without a community, we are all lost on our own, trying to do our own thing. And after a while, that can either be tiring or wearing or demoralizing or impossible, right? So having a community of like-minded people where we all support each other, encourage each other, and inspire each other is a really vital thing. And the more we can grow a worldwide community where we support, encourage, and we treat people with respect, and we love people for who they are, just because they have a good soul, because they have a great character, is really important. And we are in very divisive times at the moment. We've got some dark energy in this world right now, and our job is to try and raise the level of positive energy above that as much as we can.
Thank you, Tony. Before you go, can you tell us the story of Route 66 and why you decided to do a remake of this famous song?
So, it's a short story. I was playing at a charity event at a big venue, and the guy that was looking after the wine, it was part of a winery that supplied the wine, spoke to me afterwards and invited me to Italy, said, anytime you're there, come to the winery. Bizarrely enough, I already had plans to be there the next month. So I went to the winery with some friends. Halfway through the tour, drinking fine wine, someone gave me an acoustic guitar. I started playing. The family on the winery went, wow, you can sing. We're going to have a party tonight. We'll invite our friends. So that night there was a party. I sang, played the guitar, and I wrote a song in the moment about their catchphrase, because the family is called Torti, Torti, and their little phrase is no torti, no party. I like it. So I wrote a song, just stream of consciousness in the moment. It took me 3 minutes to write it, called No Torti, No Party, talking about the day I'd had and this one. It was so catchy, everyone was singing it within 10 seconds. That built a little bond of friendship. And then 6 months later, they came to me after we talked about how we might work together and said they wanted to release a new wine and make it my signature label. They have the exclusive license to be the only wine in the world that can call itself Route 66. They wanted to do a rock and roll wine with a rock and roll Tony Moore. So my label is Route 66 by Tony Moore. I've designed the physical labels. They're based on my shirts and jackets. And we've just introduced the wine into America. It's in Nashville right now, doing really well. It's in New York. We're just launching e-commerce. And it just seemed to me very silly not to actually have my own version of Route 66. I've played 1 million times in my life in bands, but never recorded it. So that's why I did the recording of it. And I wanted to give it my own little Tony Moore spin, bring it into the 21st century in my way, with a slightly different take on it.
Woohoo! I love that.
Terrific.
And I'm
That's
so
great.
glad to hear that your wine is here in the States. I can't wait
Yes.
till to New Jersey. That's fabulous.
Well, you're not so far away. If people go to route66.wine, you can find out more there. And I will send you some links so that people can work out where to get it. And at the moment we can do, we're just launching e-commerce. So you can buy it online and have it delivered. But it will be starting to appear in venues and restaurants across America shortly.
I love how you've branched out, Tony. That is phenomenal.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we are going to play your clip for Route 66. I know you have to go, but we'd love to have you come back again.
Absolutely. Anytime. We'll make it happen. It's a pleasure talking to you, Dr. Jacalyn and Al. You're very kind, gracious, and generous hosts, and I appreciate your time.
We'll
Thank
get
you. We
back. Great
appreciate
show
you.
tonight.
We love you, Tony.
Love you
Thank
too.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. We have a lot of comments coming in. More information on Route 66. Thank you for sharing that. Check out route66.wine. Willie K, my wife loves Route 66 wine. Lol. Okay.
Good to know.
Annie Johnson, beautiful wine. We've got to try this wine now.
I definitely have to get a bottle. I'm all over that. It sounds great. If it's anything like the music, it's going to be rock and roll paradise of a glass of wine to drink. So I'll look forward to that.
And for people who are interested in hearing Ilo, who is phenomenal. By the way, when Ilo's clip was sent over before we interviewed her on the Great Britain show, I was up here in my studio and I was playing it. It was dark, and I played her song and I literally started to cry. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe this woman has such a beautiful voice, and her song Heroes in Disguise, it's just so meaningful and so timely. And I just felt so blessed that we were able to bring her on the show and play her music. So I play that clip on a regular basis.
Great. She has a beautiful voice, terrific delivery, and she's a very nice person. And I think that comes through in her performance.
I agree. I just want to make sure I get everybody's comments, and then we'll play the clip. Yes, we love Ilo. And okay, Tony's album Awake is incredible. AwakeMusic.com, a must-see. And we have the live stream of the Bedford at 8 p.m. UK time. Amazing show. Check out Tony Moore's Musical Emporium on Saturdays. I've actually listened to this on Soho Radio.
That's great.
Great. Willie K is based in Glasgow, Scotland. Hopes to visit. Okay, perfect.
Great, Willie.
Bravo. Well, I think we're coming to the end. Great mentor. Oh, my cousin Susan. Hi, Sue. Thank you. All right. So now let's take a look at Route 66. We'll come back and have a little conversation. Then I'll play Ilo's clip and we'll wrap up for the day. How does that sound, Al?
Sounds perfect to me, Doc.
All right. Here we go. Mr. Tony Moore, Sir Tony Moore, Route 66.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. Yes, an amazing clip, right?
And that was a great performance by Tony Moore. I thought that was a great remake of a classic old song, and he delivered it so entertainingly. It was great to watch.
I meant to ask him about the dog. I love the production, and I wanted to ask him about the dog. I want to know if that's his dog or who's maybe somebody who's watching can fill in about who the dog is.
Maybe we'll get a comment on that, but we got to get him back and ask him. That was a great, very informative interview, by the way, because everybody sees what you see on stage, but nobody sees what goes on behind the scenes. And all the discipline and all the struggle and the persistence, the unbelievable persistence, it's all invisible to an audience. And, I think Tony did a good job explaining all that.
He definitely did. I had another question for him, but of course there wasn't time. I've spoken to other artists who shared with me about the fact that when you go and download something off of iTunes or other platforms, that the artist doesn't get very much of that, which I thought was really fascinating.
Yeah, the writers do. And this is actually not known very well, but Michael Jackson... Diane Kitsy just put up a comment that is not Tony's dog. So,
thank you, Diane. Appreciate that.
I don't know. That sounds like that's a line from I can't remember, Peter Sellers movie. That not my Minky. That's not my Minky. It's not my dog. But But I did want to make the point that. And the people that make the money from distribution of music are the people that write the music. The composers and authors generally are first in line on a lot of the revenue that's collected. The performers generally don't get a cut of that, depending on their deal with the publisher. And it's funny, a lot of performers actually won't release a song unless the writer of the song adds them as a writer of the song. So often when you see a singer like Frank Sinatra in the written by line under a song, it was an arrangement he made with the writer, because Frank Sinatra, even the great Frank Sinatra, understood that there's more money in writing the songs than there is in performing the songs.
Fascinating. I didn't know that.
A lot of times when you see people who are singers that are listed as writers, that was part of a deal they made with the writer.
You are a wealth of information, my friend.
Yeah, it's something I've heard. I hang around people like that. And, as you hear stories like that. Quincy Jones wrote most of what Michael Jackson performed. And Michael Jackson maybe contributed a little, but a lot of Michael Jackson's taglines as author of a lot of that music was really more of a vanity thing, or a nod to the fact that if he's selling the song, you're going to sell a lot more of them and make more money.
So that explains in part why so many artists will write their own music.
It's the performance, it's the ownership of the music that determines how much money you make. And that's why it's it's such an important part of the intellectual property of music.
Al, when you speak about the intellectual property of music, it's funny because even with this platform, and actually I was in conversation with Ilo about this, there was concern that I had, and I spoke to my attorneys about playing music like Tony's music clip right there, playing it over these platforms, because who has the rights to it, the copyright. And as it turns out, the social media platforms have the licensing. So, or I shouldn't say the licensing, but I think they pay for the licensing so you can play music like this live. That
was, a long time. I mean, when people post things on social media, they can't be expected to purchase licenses for content that they put up. Social media kind of has to own that responsibility. Ordinary people, there's too much to keep track of. And if you post a song on something like YouTube that is owned by somebody else, if not right away, then eventually the audio track of the video you post will be removed, because YouTube has a way of finding music that is licensable that you may not have paid a license fee for. So now that we're distributing music electronically in a million different ways, managing all that and managing the rights to music has become a big business in itself.
It's interesting. Last week, I was streaming one of our shows, and on Facebook, it popped up that the algorithm determined that I was playing music that I might not have a license to in 4 different countries. And I actually wasn't playing any music. So they wanted me to know that they were, they were not going to be playing it in those 4 countries. Yeah, I thought, and there's no music being played. So it's, everybody's out there listening, watching. We do have some other comments from Raina. It's not Tony's dog. Fun fact that the dog is in all the scenes except for one city.
So there must have been one city in the backdrop for that video that requires leashes on dogs, and so we couldn't put the dog on. I don't know. That's that's a fun fact. That's good to know. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for an interesting, entertaining show. Thank you, Diane. Thank you both for a wonderful show. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, awakemusic.info. Okay, and now before we put on Ilo's clip, is there any justice Ilo should be world famous? Yes, I would agree with you. Ilo has that impact with her voice, remarkable. It's true. And fun fact is, while the clip is playing, and Al and I will be backstage, and he can see me, and I can see him, but I'm actually dancing and moving to Ilo's song. When she throws her arms up in the air, I have my arms up in the air.
You do that.
And then I'm doing that. So it's,
I just start doing that. It's a great way to burn some calories during a program.
It is such a beautiful song. So
Good.
without further, yeah, it gets to you. So I do want to bring up the record label, Licorice Dragon Records, and we're gonna play her clip, Al, and then you and I will close out the show.
Sounds great.
All right, here we have Ilo, Heroes in Disguise, and you can download your own copy over on iTunes.
Picture this, a life where you can leave your pain, a life where you can start again somehow. Picture this, a vision that can change a prayer, happy heart that's always there in the now. So don't be afraid of fear, even though as long as we're still here, we can be anything larger than life, rise up from the ground. We can fall down over 10,000 times, then turn it all right back around. We never imagine how good life can be. Inside you and me, we can see past these ghosts in the mirror. We're heroes in disguise. Heroes in disguise. Picture this, losing everything you got, never having had a lot, but holding on and on and on. Don't be afraid to dream, 'cause we are so heroes in disguise. Heroes in disguise. Heroes in disguise.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back to this is a great program, Dr. Jacalyn, and Ilo's performance was moving and wonderful, and always great to listen to. Thank you for sharing that with everybody.
Well, thank you to Ilo and thank you to Tony Moore. And we've got some comments. What a song, straight from the heart from Willie K. And Paul Abbey, Ilo, beautiful voice and personality. And Ann Johnson, Ilo with the hearts. So also, we did have one comment about the dog.
The dog is not in Kingman, Arizona. It's, during the break, I took a quick look. Route 66 is defunct officially. The roads are still there. You can still travel them. Originally, I think from the 20s, it ran from Chicago west to Santa Monica, California, through some of the most beautiful, interesting parts of the United States. And it was always a kind of a great, funky, very eclectic road trip, very kitschy. Not a highway, just a lot of interconnected back roads. And there's a lot of charm in that. You could still do it. It's just not officially Route 66 anymore.
What is the name of the new name? Do you know?
They removed it from the highway registry, but the roads are still connected to each other. Each individual road is called something different.
Okay, fascinating. Thanks for looking that up, Al.
Yeah, so I knew I heard that somewhere. I just wanted to confirm that, but it still lives. I mean, obviously, it lives in Tony Moore's beautiful song, and in the hearts and minds of everybody who's ever wanted to go somewhere that they felt they were the first person to visit, because that really is the kind of experience Route 66 is and was. So, and
it's rock and roll history too. And this, I want to know if this is true. Tony will soon release his own dog food brand, Woof 66.
Woof 66.
Is there any truth to that?
You know, I was watching Ilo's clip, watching Ilo's video. Was Tony playing the keyboard? Was that him on the piano?
I don't think so.
You may not know the answer, but it's a question for maybe everybody out there. I'm pretty sure that was Tony playing the piano. I caught his profile briefly in part of the video.
Maybe, I don't know, Rainia, do you know? Or Diane, anybody?
Yeah, if somebody can maybe key in on that. But it was, but Ilo's performance, as always, was wonderful. Willie says yes.
You were right. Mr. Cini, once again.
That was,
thank you, Diane.
I thought, it pays to pay attention now and then. And I thought Tony did a very soulful job accompanying what was a terrific performance by Ilo.
Definitely. And by the way, Willie was first. Willie was the first one. Okay. Can I tell you how many times I have watched that and I'm dancing around and I'm so immersed in the song that I didn't realize that was him.
I just happened to catch it I thought the piano accompaniment was beautiful. First all you see are the hands, but eventually they pulled back and you saw Tony's profile in that video.
Yes.
Beautiful work.
Good. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Al Cini, question I have for you as we close out this show. Anything about the music industry, about being a success in that industry that your father shared with you that you can share with us?
Well, most of it I can't share, but there were a few things. Keep your receipts was from him. Making sure you remember that you really only get to keep half the money you make, that you really need to put the other half away. I mean, all the things it takes to not go broke, not hit a wall when you're performing, those are all doubly important for singers and performers in general, because they tend to focus on the performance and they tend to not cross the T's and dot the I's. And that always comes back to you later if you don't. So the word of wisdom there is it's a business. Don't forget that. And you're there to entertain the people, definitely. And I asked my father once, how could you sing Spanish Eyes, his signature song, over and over again and still sound enthusiastic about it? And he said, by remembering that for a lot of people that pay to see me sing it, they've never heard it performed live before. And my job is for them, not for me. So there's a thing you've got to go through in your head before you take the stage where you put aside whatever might have been a problem 10 minutes ago, because you can't afford to have that come through in your performance ever. And of course, crossing your T's and dotting your I's and keeping your receipts. All that is part and parcel to my father's show business career spanned more than 50 years.
Wow.
He was a successful performer for a long time and traveled all over the world. And he crossed his T's and dotted his I's. So, yeah.
Al Martino was the best.
Thanks, Diane. I appreciate that. He was a great singer, definitely. Yeah, good dad. Great guy, I got to tell you. So, yeah.
I have to say, you keep telling me that you can't sing, but I have to believe there's a voice in there because you have a great speaking voice.
That kind of voice, but thank you very much. I maybe one of these days, if I've had enough of Route 66 wine, is that what we're going to be getting?
Yes.
With a couple of glasses of that under my belt, maybe I don't know, sing out one verse of something, but not me. That's definitely not me. Thanks for asking.
Yes. Well, when we get together, but we haven't seen each other since December, I don't think, right?
Haven't. It's been a while. We're getting close to being able to meet in person somewhere. We should do that. We should definitely do that. Thank you for such a great interview. Thank you for watching, and thank you everybody for engaging. I absolutely love this. This has been fantastic. Great back and forth, and it made the show. Thanks all of you. It was wonderful. And in case you missed any of the show, you can go over to our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV. I'm searching frantically for here it is. And subscribe. We would love if you subscribe. So thank you again. And we look forward to having you back next week. Al, anything you want to leave us with? How to get in touch with you? Easily reached at al.cini@getbcat.com. And so reach out. Happy to chat with anybody. So thanks very much, everybody. A few glasses of Route 66 and some Wolf 66, and you'll be just fine. That'll take care of it. Thank you so much. All right, everybody, we will see you again. We're coming back at 10 o'clock British Summer Time, 5 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time with In the Name of Love. So we look forward to seeing you then. Bye. Thanks, everybody.